I'm Steve Vibronics, and this is the Life in Dub podcast, talking to people who live their lives in dub and reggae. Episode number 32. Welcome to the 32nd episode of the Life in Dub podcast. How you all doing out there? I hope it's all good. Thanks again for taking the time to listen to Life in Dub. This is the podcast that digs deep into reggae and dub history, delivering in-depth interviews with people that live their lives through music. If you want to get in touch with any questions or just want to say hi, then you can email me at vibronics@gmail.com. It's great to hear what you think about the podcast. All the previous interviews are there to listen back to, so don't forget to go back over them and check out any that you missed. All can be found at lifeindub.com or any of the regular podcast places as well as YouTube. This week I want to talk a bit about records, and in particular the pressing of vinyl. As I record this, it's June 2021, and there's never been more pressure on the already scarce and overworked last few remaining pressing plants around the world. Making records is an expensive and complicated industrial process, so it's really not easy to set up a new factory. And what's been happening over the last few years is the big commercial major record labels have been wading in and buying up all the very limited capacity that the factories have. I think the major labels and artists see records as a cool little promotional thing that fans buy and then put on the shelf whilst listening to the music on Spotify. And the result of all this is now a year-long wait for all of us independent record labels to get our records pressed. Records that people actually play and listen to. So hold tight, all new music lovers out there, because it's going to take a bit of time to get some of these new productions we have sitting here out on vinyl. This week, my guest is Danai, the vocalist, producer and sound system operator from Northern Italy. The last few years, many have heard his Imperial Sound Army sound system playing all over Europe, but he started out as a singer and a musician back in Italy. We have a really interesting chat about how things developed in Italy and what it takes to run a big sound system. So, enough of me, let's get on with the interview. So, Danai, welcome to the Life in Dub podcast.
Bless up, Steve. Thanks for having me here.
Nice you could join me all the way over there from Northern Italy, is that right?
Yeah, for real. Up north.
Nice. Well, listen, what I say to everybody at the beginning of the podcast is I ask everyone the same question, and that is to talk about a track that's been really influential or something that's had a real effect on you or whatever, just to kind of kickstart everything off. So it's never easy to name one track, but I don't know if you've got an example of a track you want to talk about.
Well, I've got many, to be honest, especially when it comes to roots, because I'm a roots lover, you know? So, I've got culture, and I've got Abyssinians, I got all the classics with me, and I've got War, Bob Marley War, the song which brings the speech of His Majesty, was really important for me. And then I've got one peculiar track which is actually from you, and is jam music. I believe it's Bonnie L, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, when it first comes out, it just blow me, you know. A friend of mine showed me the track, and I was into new roots. I used to buy records from Jamaica, and during that specific time, I was into new roots. But I was getting kind of bored, to be honest. And a friend of mine showed me one of your tracks, which was jam music, and I got blown. You know, I said, "Wow, that's the sound I like, really." It was totally new because, of course, comparing it to those Jamaican sound. You know, your stuff was more like digital, kind of new. So it really brought me into it, and that was important because it brought me into dub. You know.
Mm-hmm. No, nice, yeah, because at that time, I was a collector of all the kind of the stuff coming out of Jamaica. For me, it was the last time Jamaica was producing regular, really high quality music. You know, stuff from the Firehouse Crew were doing, and stuff on Star Trail and Exterminator. Yeah, exactly, all those things. But obviously, what I was doing, influenced by all the kind of UK artists, you know, like Disciples and TNT Roots and Alpha and Omega, and everyone was doing this digital thing. So,
well, as I said, I had a friend, and he was working. He was doing hip hop, but I was learning how to record music with a PC. So I went to check him regularly, And he showed me, well, he knew I was into reggae, so he showed me the track, you know. He said, let me play you something. And he played this massive track. I said, wow, the sound, I mean, the kick sound techno to me, but it, you know, it sounded like very, very much different from what I was into, you know. It's like these, as I said, New Roots was kind of depressing me at some point, because everything was sounding the same, you know. I mean, vocally wise, music wise, I was kind of bored. So when it comes with it, I said, wow.
Well, I was just coming out of the kind of 90s, so dance music was such a big thing in the UK in the 90s, and I was just influenced by it, I guess. I was kind of, that's the sort of vibe. But talking about yourself and like in your kind of history, so if we go back a bit earlier, then how did you get into music? What was your way into music? What was your earliest kind of connections?
Well, generally speaking, my father used to play guitar, so I was into music since, well, I think since I'm born, really, because he was a classic guitar lover, and he used to play fantastic, really. So, I mean, I remember I was amazed when he played me music, so, you know. And then a crucial time was when I was, I think I was around 13, 14 maybe, and he gave me a Bob Marley cassette. And that was crucial because I didn't know Bob Marley, but we used to roll kilometers. He comes to pick me up during the weekend, right? So we used to roll with a car, and he played me that Bob Marley cassette, and then in the end, he gave it to me. So that was my introduction into reggae.
And what was it about that Bob Marley stuff that touched you?
Man, it was like the feeling was so airy, so positive, so vibing, and he had a lot of energy. And I felt like I didn't pick up the lyrics to the fullest because I didn't know English much, and but I could feel there was something special. He was speaking about marijuana, he's speaking about the Bible too, and I was a bit anti-system, you know, during those days, so I found it like, what is he talking about? And it kind of dragged me into it, really. When I was curious, you know, I wanted to know what it was about, and I started to buy his books and with his lyrics translation, you know, them things, and I get deeper and deeper into it, and then I started to play guitar myself, and I started to sing Bob Marley songs, and yeah.
Well, that's what's interesting about like Bob Marley and also a lot of other music at that time, was you get these artists that were mainstream artists, like super popular all over the world, but they were making music that was really like political and kind of, and you don't get that so much now. You know, I can't think of that many artists who are super big worldwide, like pop stars, but are doing really political stuff, and that's kind of what people like Bob Marley were doing, I think.
That's my vision. I mean, he was a revolutionary, and he was a man for the people, and he was standing for the people, whatever the cause was. You know what I mean? He used to. Well, you know better than me. He used to feed a lot of people too with his music. He was a hero. You know what I mean?
And so, did you start getting deeper into reggae after kind of getting into Bob Marley? Was that after that you started to kind of discover other stuff, did you?
Yeah, of course, yeah, slowly. Well, I went through the classics, really, Peter Tosh, Bonnie Wailer, Wailers in general, and then I had a friend, because we had a little squat in town, which was the only one then playing alternative music. Well, music in general, because I'm from a mountain village, which is in 2B. And as I said, the only one place playing music was that place, that specific venue. And I had a friend, and he was DJing reggae. You know? So I started to, discover my reggae panorama. with him. Like I remember Toots and the Maidens, Jazz Shaka, the first records of Alpha and Omega, either Mad Professor, Culture, Burning Spear, Abyssinians. You know, I went through the classics really, and he didn't like much UK reggae. He was really into Jamaican, and he still is. And that was myself when, you know.
Well, that's one of the big changes that's happened over the last, I don't know, 10, 20 years is kind of so much reggae music that's not produced in Jamaica. You know, it's kind of really so much now. But obviously, you know, people will know you as like a singer and a producer and, you know, obviously a sound man as well. But when did you start like singing or playing reggae? I mean, how did that stuff happen?
I believe that was mid-90s and 98, early 2000. Met Boer from Mombasa studio, and I met the...
Yeah, Boer is a legend.
Yeah, Boer is a legend over here for real, and so humble and so talented, and yeah, man, we became friends, and I went regularly to check him at his studio. He was playing some of his 45. We used to sing on the B-side. And then, Paolo Baldini, which I'm still working with a lot, especially recently. He brought me the first studio recording session with him and another brethren, Antonio. We had a little project named the Earth Ground Combination.
I remember.
Yeah, remember? Yeah. And that was my first experience into studio, home recording, Cubase and them stuff, you know.
And what were you doing? Were you singing and writing, or... Because I remember you as a vocalist first, I guess. It's kind of heard your voice. But were you also producing at that time as well?
Not really. I was more into... Because... These days, I was playing with a band. I had a reggae band for almost 10 years, I think. And my experience mainly was into live. Mm-hmm. You know, we used to play live instruments, and then beside that, I kind of started to select myself as well. Selecting music, and then started to do the little chat on it, you know, the little DJ, and then because of the guitar and the singing, along with the singing, I went deeper into it, and I started to write my own songs.
Because the whole live band thing is like, in many countries where there wasn't such a sound system scene in the past, a lot of people's route into it, I think, was playing in bands. And I mean, I played in like sort of punk bands and stuff when I was a teenager, and it is, you know, I really enjoyed it. It's a great feeling playing when the whole thing is live. You've got drums, bass, guitar, whatever, and everyone's playing together. It's a real buzz. I remember.
Oh yeah, super beautiful, man. There was my days, for real.
And where were you playing? Were you travelling around or just playing like locally?
Well, we played. I think we played the whole country, and at some point we were good, you know. But I remember we were a lot of people. At some point, I believe 12 of us. We had a complete
12 in the band.
Yeah, man, that was a complete band, you know. 2 guitar. 2 keyboards. We had horns at some point. When we started at the beginning, we were 3 people. But then, yeah, man, I remember right at the end we were 10, 12, and then you can imagine it was hard to deal with all of us, really.
The logistics, when you got that many people, I mean, how just to organise them all to be in the same room. I mean, it's, you know, that's not an easy thing to do.
No, especially when it comes to professional, because I wanted to play music as much as I could, and I mean, I really believe we could reach up on a level and also make money, you know. And because, as you said, sound system wasn't, especially in Italy, sound system wasn't too big.
Mm-hmm. So What was going on in Italy at that time?
The early movement was rising, and the first sound, like the guys from South, I Project, yeah, there you go. And then up north, King David Warriors, and then they started to bring artists from the UK, Abashanti, Channel One, Jazz Shaka, I remember, and yeah.
And before that, there were just bands playing. Then were there other bands playing, or was it unusual for the people to see an Italian reggae band?
There were a lot of bands playing during those days, more than sound system, definitely. Beside bands, yeah, DJs, not real sound system, but most of it were DJs. You know, like they used to play before and after the band show. And yeah, that was the style, really. You don't really have a specific sound system night yet. That started around 2000, I think.
And what about yourself? So you were singing in this band, is that right?
Yeah, I was playing guitar and singing, yeah.
And how did you get into being like a singer and a lyricist and a songwriter and stuff? Because not everybody does that kind of thing.
Man, I think I started to go to sound system sessions, and I started to sing, I think, with Mombasa first, and then I went with other sounds as well, because the band was kind of collapsing, really. So I said, why, the only way for myself to survive after so much work and arranging the music part as well sometimes, I wanted to do something with music, you know. But I said to myself, there's no way I'm going to continue with the band, because I'm going mad, really. So much work you need to do, and, you know, hard to find the right people you want to jump completely into music with. That was the hardest part, really. So I said to myself, let's do a lighter stuff. And I started to sing with a few sound system, few DJs, and I believe by after a couple of years I sung with all of them.
And what about discovering sound system then? I mean, how did that happen? I mean, you talked about, you know, very early on listening to Bob Marley and playing music in a band, and how did the sound system thing come into your life? Because that's what most people would think of you now, obviously, with a well-established sound system.
Yeah, well, I had a friend, Mikey Dread. You know him.
Mm-hmm. Of course, the legend.
Yeah, Mikey here is a legend because he was one of the earliest to travel to UK, buy reggae music, come down here and selling it. You know what I mean? Providing DJs proper fresh rhythms and proper fresh plastic, whatever, dot plates, you know, music from the UK. And he brought me to a sound system gathering called Raz. And this was in Rome, and was when the early sounds used to gather, one per year, I think, and they used to play each other on his own sound system. And that was the let's say my introduction, I think, into the Italian sound system scene. But I wasn't happy with it, you know, to be honest with you. I wasn't, not because of the DJs or the quality or whatever, but because I came from a band, and I used to hear myself properly, you know. I used to have monitors on stage. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. You got some rough microphone and some rough preamp, and, you know, sometimes it's not easy to hear what's going on.
Yeah, terrible. I remember I used to squeeze myself in between high tops, mid space. You couldn't hear yourself, couldn't hear your voice, but the vibe was all right. So I kept going. And then Mikey brought me to the UK, you know. He brought me to my first university of dub.
And do you remember who was playing at that dance?
I think Earthquake, Irish and Shanty.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's a lineup. That is.
That was unreal. That was unreal.
Yeah, I mean, those sessions were like. There's nothing like that going on now in the UK, on that sort of level, in the heart of Brixton, with a old crowd, new crowd, everyone, that kind of diversity. It was like, yeah, crazy stuff. It must have been amazing to come from Italy and see it.
Brethren, that was something really and truly. That was the real deal, as he used to say. You know, that was the boom for me. After seeing that, I get more inspired. I said, oh, that's the way how it works. That's the way how it could reach on a real level, and something that which is underground still, but on a mainstream level. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with a big crowd and kind of a big vibe.
Oh man, come on! That was, as you said, probably there's no event like that in the world, I'd say. Mm-hmm. No, with a sound system, 3 sounds with 12 boxes playing so loud and so. That was so magical, because it was loud, but it was quality as well.
And it's like there's so much in Italy now in terms of sound systems. I mean, so many. But back in those days, there was so few. It was really like, it's been a big journey in Italy regarding sound system. But just sort of sticking around this kind of time, is like, this kind of time scale thing. I mean, you started to make music as well, I guess, and make like sound system music.
Yeah. Well, the first intention was to reproduce what I was playing with a band, mainly. But then I suddenly realized that it was quite impossible. Well, at least with the technology and the knowledge I had during that time, which was on the zero, and I couldn't put down a decent drum pattern. And yeah, I said, boy, let's try do some digital stuff, which is more, especially even when I checked your music, I said it's different and it could be done on a proper level without recording live instruments. The whole drumming process is really hard. You got to go studio really, and
the ability to make a finished production on your own, or with maybe 1 or 2 people in a small studio, rather than, like you say, organising a whole band in a proper studio with microphones and everything. It's like, it's quite powerful to be able to just actually make the finished thing yourself.
Yeah, I think even the style of making music, when you record in analog sound, recording the bass and the guitar and then working on it is more difficult than building a digital rhythm, if you see what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Or a stepper track, it's to me that was way easier, because I tried to record the guitar. I mean, now I do it and I get a different feel. I mean, I learn a little process, so it sounds kind of better. But when I try to do the whole live organic stuff, that was a nightmare. So I said, let me try build these shaka rhythms and these Irish steppers, Vibronics, Alpha and Omega. Oh yeah, that was crucial as well when I met Jonah.
Yeah, because I remember you doing the stuff with Alpha and Omega, and it's like that's on one of my list of questions here. Is it's kind of because Alpha and Omega, they're one of my sort of biggest influences in a lot of way, and they're like foundation of UK scene. But they never had any kind of live presence. So, and then obviously something happened. You got involved, and then live stuff was happening.
Yeah, I think that's basically. I saw them. I was into Alpha and Omega crazy.
Yeah, they were always big in Italy, weren't they? They always had a following in Italy.
Oh yeah, for real. Yeah, definitely. They're big over here. Everybody knows Alpha and Omega, up north, south. Yeah, what I wanted to say is I met Jonah, and they were playing in Italy, and I couldn't wait to go see them. But the first time I see them live, I never get impressed, to be honest. I never get a feeling I had through the records.
It's not easy to get that studio vibe and that atmosphere to take it out and do it live. It's like you got to try some different things to kind of get that working.
Yeah, because as you know, you don't get to see John, but everybody know John is making the music, so it's kind of. The way of arranging an Alpha and Omega live set ain't easy at all. I mean, the thing is, they were playing, and they were missing a lead singer. I knew Jonah since ages, and I went to check him in Harrow, at Christine's, and I had a few tracks with me, and Christine checked them, and she kind of liked them, and she said, "Boy, you should try yourself on an Alpha and Omega rhythm." And I said, "Wow, that would be amazing."
Well, that's quite an honour when you're a big fan of an artist and they ask you to get involved as one of them. That means you're in the gang.
Oh yeah, man! It's like it looks, yeah, it makes you feel good. Like this interview too. I remember you used to be one of the first, well, probably the first UK producer to remix one of my stuff, and then which I could release. So it's the same feeling, you know. In reggae, I mean, it's so important to practice what you preach. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So. Mm-hmm. There is a part of the show which is hype related, but there must be the other part which is roots related, article related. So you know what I'm saying? When you do what you've been preaching, you know. So
yeah, there's a responsibility, I think, with like the music, and kind of it has this message, and it's kind of, yeah, we all like have a responsibility within that to at least try and do the right thing, I think.
Yeah.
But it's interesting we talking about this as well, because I don't know if you're interested in talking about your sort of relationship with Rastafari, because it's something that's comes across in your lyrics and like in the name of your sound system, and it's like, I don't know if you want to talk about how that came part of your life.
Yeah, for real. That's the main topic for me when it comes to reggae, because of the influence I've got from reggae music. I mean, as I said, when I first discovered Bob Marley and I wanted to get deeper into his lyrics, well, I immediately found that he was speaking about God, you know? And as I said, I was a rebel, so that kind of sounds strange to me, you know? I was like, what is he talking about? Jah, Rastafari, Africa, Ethiopia, and you know, the Bible verses. And I went to recheck the stuff myself, because I've been a Catholic. I mean, I born Catholic because of my family tradition. And when I was a youth, like 8 years old or something like that, I used to go church service, right? And then I suddenly realized what the story was about, and I got really deluded, like, and I rejected everything, you know,
because of like the Catholic Church and the kind of politics of it.
Yeah. And the pedophilia and a lot of stuff I never really, I mean, that was unreal. So for years I've been kind of anti-religion, and but then when I checked the reinterpretation, the African point of view, I got into a different perspective. And then when I went to Africa and I went to Ethiopia and I checked the thing myself, man, I said that's another story. That's the way they're Christian, right? But the way they live Christianity is the opposite of over here, of Europe, and of the Catholic mentality and the general way they live, let's say.
Mm-hmm. How was it visiting Ethiopia? I've never been. I'd love to go.
It was fantastic. I mean, I wanted to see the thing with my own eyes. You know, I went to Addis Ababa, and I went to the places where His Majesty used to walk, and you know. And I met people there, but most of all, I talked to the elders, not to the Rasta elders, but to the Ethiopians. And there I got the flavor, and I was listening to the stories and to the. I mean, I felt the love they're feeling for His Majesty and them times, you know, which really were glorious. And
yeah, it must have been an amazing experience to go there and kind of, especially with an interest in trying to understand more about the sort of spiritual history of the place as well.
Yeah, you feel the energy, which is something you can pick from the books and discussions and, you know, reasonings with other people, other Rastas and spiritual people in general. But then when you get yourself to the place, it's different, you know. It's like, you know, I mean, I know Mexicans, but when I went to Mexico and I smell the flavor, and I see how the way they live, and you know, you're there.
Yeah, well, the last time I saw you, we were there together in Mexico City, and like, you know, it's a wonderful place, definitely. But just returning quickly to this Alpha and Omega thing, I mean, what did you learn anything from working with them? Because you're really dealing with like great music when you're kind of being part of the Alpha and Omega crew.
For real, I learned everything, I'd say. I mean, I made myself better under any point of view. Music wise, they're genius to me. I mean, their music is unique, and the way Christine plays her bass, to me, it's still inspiring me. Every time I play the bass pattern, it's like 2-3 notes max, and it kind of mantra which is repeating, you know. And I believe that comes from Alpha and Omega influence, big time.
Yeah, for me too. It's that I've always loved music that's really simple, and you know, I'm not normally a fan of music that's got like loads of notes in it. I always like stuff that's quite sort of simple, and the Alpha and Omega stuff is kind of very complicated with atmosphere and stuff, but with notes, it's like just a few. It's all you need.
Yeah, that's what I like, which is simplicity, and it works perfectly. Especially, you know, when it comes to sound and everything is sounding so big, you don't really need a lot of notes, do you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting you talk about sound, because that's something you've been, you know, it's come up again and again so far, but that's what I guess, you know, probably most people probably know you as now, is like Imperial Sound Army and your sound system. So what made you build your sound system? Because obviously when you started, you were a singer and a performer and everything, but why do the sound system thing? Because it's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not at all. And I think I wanted to express ourselves with our sound, because we are playing a lot of sound systems and the PAs and whatever, and at some point I was like testing my production, and you know, somehow they were sounding nice, but somewhere in not in all the systems, okay. So I said, what's wrong with it? Is it my music, or is it the sound system? Is it the PA sounding rubbish? And I realized, well, you know, with time playing, I realized they were both. They were my production sounding horrible, but sometimes the sound was horrible. So I said, I wanna build a sound which plays the sound I like to play, you know, with good bass and good high, mid and tops, where when you sing you can hear your voice. So I mean, eventually I'll be working a lot of my mid section, and yeah,
because it's very distinctive looking. That's one of the things I like about it, is that like you can tell it's the Imperial Sound Army sound system. It's like, it looks unique as well, and I guess the design is like part of it.
When we decided to build the sound system, we took it originally from Warrior Charge. I gotta say that, because we use
David.
Yeah, David. Yeah. Up north, Warrior Charge to me was one of the best Italian sounds when it comes to quality and and precision, really.
For sure.
We were playing with David. We were putting on events, Dubgate, the first Dubgate event we used to run in town, and David came with his sound system. So, you know, playing on his sound was kind of fantastic, really, because yeah, it was proper.
Yeah, me too. I've played on it so many times, and like it's never let me down. It sounds awesome.
Exactly, you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, so you know, we decided. We said let's build our own sound, and you know, so we would invest money, but we wouldn't kind of, you know, because every time you get a higher sound, or it's money. So let's build it so you can play with your own, and you can even...
Because you went in big as well. You didn't just build some little sound to play in the bar around the corner. You went in with like a big sound to be alongside the other big sounds.
Yeah,
I guess.
Definitely. I wanted to replicate that quality you had in the UK here in Italy. And because, see, the thing is, sound system here, they're been better and better, definitely. But the early sound movement is related to the squats.
Yeah, it's like a kind of punk sort of movement, isn't it? I remember the days of like just good vibes, but very, very like homemade sound system and everything, which is, you know, definitely part of the vibe, but like sound wise, you know, improvements needed to be made, and they really have now.
Yeah, for real. Up to these days, yeah. Because basically what you need to do is to spend money into technology. There's no escape. You know what I'm saying? If you want a quality sound, you gotta, even if you're into big, you know, you gotta spend money. So that's the thing. You need to be professional, which is the step really to do. And because of the band and so much work I tried to do, I wanted to come out with something proper, you know, something which could make a difference as well. And naturally, I think in 5-7 years we play in our sound, and naturally we've been playing, I think, anywhere in Europe. We brought it all over Europe. And
well, it's funny you talk about University of Dub like being one, you know, that as being a real moment for you to hear sounds playing properly, and then fast forward a few years, and you're playing there yourself with your own sound system. I mean, that must have been like quite a crazy experience.
Crazy, yeah. That's right, exactly. That was big. Well, that was huge. I mean, when we got called for the University of Dub, that was a dream getting into reality, you know?
It's a very long way to take the sound as well.
It's crazy experience, yeah. Driving the sound over there, you gotta have a solid crew, which, by the grace of God, I had a lot of good people beside me, you know. Otherwise, we couldn't make it at all. Makida, yeah, man, I gotta say, big up to the crew every time, you know. Yeah, man, the whole crew been amazing.
Yeah, I saw Makida driving the truck all the way from Italy to London. I mean, that's a mission, that is.
Yeah, man, back and forward. Yeah, for real.
And what was it like playing there? What was it like taking your sound to London and playing alongside ABBA and whoever else?
It was, as I said, a dream coming true. Something like I would never ever expect back in the days. But then yeah, I think I give thanks. I see it natural. I dedicate myself to music. So I mean, I can see both the grace of God, and I can see that when you believe in yourself as well, and you know, and you stick to something and you do it with all of your energy, and you know, something comes, right? In the end, something comes. And yeah, it was a fulfillment.
And when you stood up there playing with the other sounds, with the big sounds, then you've got to play properly yourself. You can't, it's not a joke, is it?
No, for real. No, for real. They took me on the next level, I think. Professional wise, they took me on the next level, and I learned so much. I learned how to play. Well, let's say I'm learning how to play sound still. But to me, the whole magic about reggae is the process and the industry from the production to the sound system to the radio to the shops. I like that kind of. I like that way of producing music. You know what I'm saying? From creating it to.
Yeah, it's like a kind of grassroots kind of thing, isn't it? It's like because one thing that I'd like to mention is Manuel Dub Festival, because I think that's the last time I played on your sound, and it's a small festival in Sicily, which is a long way from both of us, but like for me it's a sign of what a magical place like Italy is in the summer, and what a perfect place it is for playing sound outside in the summer. It's kind of and again like a long way as well from it's another long journey for you guys.
Yeah, definitely. We've been, as I said, we've been far. We carry the sound far up to Poland and almost Russia. We carrying it down south to Sicily and few other spots, Holland and France and Spain, and that's the joyful part of traveling, which I really enjoy myself. I like traveling with a sound system more than by playing, to be honest, because at least you get to see something. You know what I'm saying? When you say, yeah, man, I went to play Ukraine, or I went to play Moscow, right? But then it might be for a couple of hours, and then you're back home, innit? So right at the end, you don't get to see much. But if you travel, if you drive the sound yourself, that's about 3,000 miles or something. So you definitely get to see something.
No, it's a proper adventure, definitely. And then obviously, now everyone's had like at least a year off playing. Then what's the plans for when you can come back with a sound?
Oh man, I can't wait for it. Really, I'm so frustrated. I had to, and then I was into music completely, right? So when this COVID business took over, but as many of us, I was like, wow, let's see how long it takes, Let's be ready, okay, let's sit down in studio, because I was playing a lot, really. At some point I said I might take a break, because I was a bit stressed.
Yeah, it's hard work, especially with a sound system. It's physical hard work as well.
Yeah, I said to myself, eventually I'm going to take like 6 month break or something. I'll go Jamaica, and I wanted to go recording some stuff, and and then bam, COVID came in, and I was terrible because I had a big plan, and I was investing money as well into the sound system. You never really stop spending money, not yet. At least me, not yet. So I was investing a lot of money into the sound, and I had a specific full seasonal plan, and I was ready to play. And then when it get like when it fell off, and I was desperate, I said, yeah, okay, let's build up, let's sit down in studio and build rhythms and get ready, build a lot of new stuff, and then after 6 months, we were still there, nothing moved. After a year, nothing moved. Finally, I had to find a job, I had to rearrange my lifestyle completely. You can release music still, you can sell music, but it help you as much as when you go play live.
No, exactly. It makes it, it's been a very difficult year for everyone in music, and every promoter and every bar and venue and festival and sound system, and it's kind of, it's a crazy thing. I just hope that when it is over that, this kind of new energy that people will have for it will be like, should bring about like some pretty amazing sessions and kind of some quite intense stuff, I think.
Oh yeah, for real. I mean, people is balling for it. Everyone is balling for it. Like, Yeah. Let's see what left.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen. We've been talking for a while now, so what I'll do is I'll sort of bring the interview to a close. And what I do at the end of the interview is I ask everyone the same question, and it's my Book of Dub question, where I've got this book and I've written everyone's name in it, and I just ask everyone what they want associated with their name. So if I write Danai in my Book of Dub, then what would you want associated with your name?
I think with the concept of bringing the classic roots into an original formula which still preserve the flavor of what we've been growing with in terms of roots and culture. And we want to we want to speak with the new generation, with the let's say not new but different language, because the youths need a modern style of communication. They're all into socials. They're into something which is new. So you need to rearrange yourself to be to let other people understand the same message that the elders brought us. I don't know if
it makes sense. It makes sense, because it's going to be interesting when we can all come back and play again, because there's like a whole, because every year new people come into the scene, people discover it, especially younger people, but even older people that hadn't encountered kind of the roots sound system scene before. But for a whole year it hasn't existed, so there's a whole load of people who would be brought into it who haven't been able to because it doesn't exist. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of, what happens with the next generation, having had a year or maybe even two with no live music and dances and stuff. So we'll just have to see.
I mean, for me, the important is the important thing into my music is finding the same energy I got from Culture, Bob Marley, Bonnie Wailer, these people, but. We ain't playing the same music. We playing new, modern, digital, whatever. I want to preserve the same energy in a different style.
No, nice. Yeah, me too. That's definitely what I'm trying to do. Make modern music, but with the inspiration of the old stuff, for sure. Well, Danai, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast. So it's great to hear your story.
Thank you very much. It's been a blessing and a true honor.
Thanks for joining me and Danai for this 30-second episode of the Life in Dub podcast. Don't forget to share the podcast and help get all these stories out to more and more people. Remember, if you want to get in touch, just email me, vibronics@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you all again in 2 weeks for the next Life in Dub podcast.